did he get mine?
I said you saw that.
Yeah.
So it's Wygant, Elmore, Wigington are the three we're missing.
Yeah.
And then
How many days do you have, Shelley? After we're counting.
okay, 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call of aldermen.
Alderman Hazel.
Here.
Alderman Kinsella.
Here.
Alderwoman Pusa. Here. Alderman Bittner.
Here.
Alderman Randall.
Here.
Alderman Tyler.
Here.
Alderman Anthony.
Here.
Alderman Ovian.
Here.
Alderwoman Schaefer. Alderman Dintelman.
Here.
Alderman Gah.
Here.
Alderwoman Steele. Alderman Wygant. Alderman Elmore. Alderman Wigington. Alderman Barfield.
Here. Alderman Elmore, Wigington, and Wygant are excused. Roll call of department heads, please.
City Treasurer Hart.
Here.
City Attorney Horner.
Here.
Police Chief Bill Clay.
Got your name here.
Fire Chief Tom Poor. Finance Director Jamie Matrit. City Engineer Tim Gregowitz. Director of Maintenance Ken Vaughn. I know he's here.
He's here. He went to check on something.
Human Resource Director Sherry Faver. Director of Parks and Recreation Debbie Belleville. Health and Housing Director Bob Sabo. Director of Public Works Jason Poole. Director of Wastewater Royce Carlisle. Director of Economic Development Anissa McCaskill. Director of Library Leander Spearman.
Jamie Matrid and, who's the other one I said?
Royce.
And Royce are excused, and Randy is here for Royce from wastewater. Before we get started, we have a pretty good crowd here tonight. I just want to refresh a couple things. If ever in the event when you're in a meeting in this room, we had to leave because of a storm, the police officers and staff would escort you across the hallway. There's a doorway right across from the clerk's office, going down the stairs to the basement if we had to ever do that. If there was a fire and we had to leave the building, smoke or something of that nature, we would ask you to go out the front doors or whatever doors. But we do ask that we would always meet over by the St. Clair County sign, just to kind of check and see the people you came with if they're all out. Heaven forbids we don't need those directions, but just want to remind everybody. And lastly, the aldermen, the city council meetings are both video and audio taped. The video is on the channel, cable channel, later on in the week. I forget the number, but it's on there. But the audio is something we have to do per statute. So, and we have tonight, we have some people for the first time in the balcony. So we have a new balcony in this remodeled building, and it seats about 36 up there. We're glad to see the good crowd. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are able, if you'd stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we do not have a public hearing this evening. We had one last week for the finance meeting for reference to tax levy. I'm going to open public participation. I'm going to remind everyone that when we open it, raise your hand. I will call on you. When you get recognized, please come to the microphone, give your name, and try to keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. And please try to keep it to a City of Belleville topic, preferably something that's pertinent to tonight's business. So at this time, I will open public participation. Is there anyone? Sir, you can go first.
Here at the mic.
Right there. Give your name, please.
Good evening. My name is Ken Smith. I live in the Orchard subdivision on Bobby Jones Court, and I just wanted to present to the council. I received this notice in my door Monday morning saying that the city engineer and his people were going to clear cut 3 acres of woods that are literally 20 feet from my back door and build a detention pond. It was the first I'd ever heard of it. To address some flooding issues in the orchards. There was a study done 3 years ago by the Homeowners Association, which I'm a member of, which I wasn't aware of either. And I just want to hope the city engineer and all other people will look at better solution than building a 3-acre detention pond 20 feet from my back door. As I'm an active duty Air Force civil engineer for 26 years, and I've dealt with stormwater throughout my career, and I just don't think this is the best solution. They referred to an Illinois Department of Natural Resources permit, which I still have not seen, which required this detention basin, but that was to be built 15 or 20 years ago when the Orchards was built, and long before Bobby Jones Court was there. So I would just like the city council and the engineer to look at this more closely before it begins.
Well, okay, we appreciate your comments, and there's a lot of information to be shared. I don't know if you have anything you want to say before we get going, before everybody says the same thing, maybe.
This issue is a matter of pending litigation, so I'm limited as to what I can say, but your homeowners association is represented by an attorney. Your homeowners association and IDNR each initiated individual actions against the city for enforcement of a permit that was actually issued to the original developers of the Orchard subdivision, and the city was merely a co-permittee to provide secondary maintenance for these water mitigation efforts. Unfortunately, the original developer is now defunct. This detention basin that was originally contemplated under the permit was not built. IDNR and the homeowners association are attempting to enforce that permit against the city. So I would suggest that you and any other members of the homeowners association communicate with your representatives from the homeowners association and your attorney. I really can't give you any information beyond that.
Okay, thank you. It's about a $500,000 project, and I know soon a lot of people are going to talk about the taxes being raised, but I think a $500,000 could probably be spent more wise than building a pond in my backyard. Thank you.
Okay, I want to we are limited because there is litigation, as Mr. Harner said, but for anybody else here, we are working with the homeowners association attorney. We're going to try to have some more information to share right after the first of the year. We're not rushing out to do anything. We did start to show in good faith to the IDNR that we were getting some things started, but we're certainly open, and we have been trying to work through this for many years. This was a problem that started when they developed things.
If I may, and this is a matter of public record, if you refer to the public records associated with these litigation matters, that I just want to be clear that the homeowners association's position is that they want to have this built in accordance with the permit. So I think you need to direct those communications to the homeowners association and their attorney, and they'll explain to you what actions have been taken.
Okay. Who's next? Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Michael Hagberg. Tonight's, there's an ordinance abating the bond payments for the property tax levy, but these required bond payments were never listed on the levy to begin with. I would contend that the required bond payment should first appear on the levy before being abated. All you're accomplishing by not listing them is to hide from the public that this year alone we're paying $2.8 million towards outstanding bond balance of $41 million. The aldermen have details listing the initial amount borrowed, but no information on the required principal and interest payments. This year alone, we're paying about $1 million in interest payments. Just think about it. That's $1 million that's not available for street repair or sidewalks, just going to pay interest on projects that have been done in the past. I read in the BND that the mayor plans on using general assistance funds to make building improvements to the Parks and Rec office. I hope that this is another case of fake news, as your promise with the City Hall remodel was to consolidate all city functions under one roof. These funds were levied with the express use of providing assistance for the poor. In my opinion, using these funds for anything other than assisting the poor would be misappropriation of taxpayer funds. As far as the comments made about the general assistance levy, I remind you that a few years ago, the township had a levy of $488,000. A few trustees showed that we could reduce it to $264,000 while maintaining existing general assistance funding and increasing funding for community projects. Overall, I'm pleased with the city keeping the $264,000 general assistance levy, as this is the city's first year of assuming the responsibilities from the township, and there were additional expenses due to the delay with City Hall remodel. Now back to this year's overall levy increase. Can you tell us if the $1 million increase is a one-time deal, or can we expect to see another increase above and beyond the $1 million in next year's tax levy? Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Kathleen Draper, 500 South 19th Street, Belleville. I have several comments about this ongoing neighborhood situation that you are aware of and the police are aware of. We had it a little bit under control when Officer Ellis was here, and then he retired, and Ice Camp had it under control for a while, and it's gotten back and forth. And now I hear that it's not a big priority with the police department to whether or not they want to come out and tag cars, because they sit there for longer than 78 hours, which is a city ordinance. Now, I don't know the city ordinance numbers of what code it is, but I do know that a car cannot sit without being moved for more than 78 hours on a city street. It should be tagged, but it takes the city 2 to 3 weeks to come out and tag a vehicle if they even come out and do it. We're back to 9 cars on Bunsen and 19th Street for one house. And that's just in the street. This needs to get under control. He's running a commercial business in a residential neighborhood. We all know it. He's been doing it for 15 years. I don't care if he's a homeowner or not. He needs to be stopped. The cars need to be stopped. And if he wants to do a business, then let him go into a country, let him buy a business, something. Get a license for a residential neighborhood, something, but do it legally. This has got to stop. He had 3 more cars there towed, auctioned off, 3 more cars that got towed there over the last weekend. We have 9 cars on a block and a half again now. And I called the alderwomen and the aldermen today, and I left messages with Ice Camp on voicemail, but I don't know if he's in or not. And I heard from one of the alder people that it's not a high priority. Okay, well, I understand that. There's other things going on. But the police come out for dogs barking, but you can't come out and tag a car that's been sitting on the city street for indefinitely.
Okay, Kathy, I will check on it tomorrow morning, okay?
Okay. The only other thing I want to say is I was told also by an alder person that the address of that person, that they have a wood stove that's supposed to have a flue to it. It's for an indoor thing, and he's got it sitting outside. And I was told by the alder people that it's okay because it's a fire, it's like a fire pit, that it was okay with Sabo, that it's okay, that it's not, he's not in compliance, he's in compliance to have it in his yard, but it's an eyesore because it's a wood burning stove that's supposed to have a flue. So I would like to see in the ordinance of the open pit thing to where it says that a wood burner is okay to have.
I will check. There are some wood furnaces that are legal, but I don't know if that's what this is. We'll check, Kathy.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All righty. Anyone else this evening? Back of the room.
Stuart Lannert, Belleville. I'm not running any popularity contests, as you all know. I'm probably the most disliked person in Belleville, but I don't really care. There's too many police. When you got too many police, then you gotta pay all these high-priced pensions, and you have to raise the taxes and to pay the pensions. Besides, most of the time, the police don't stop crime, they just investigate after the crime has been committed. And normally, if there's anybody found guilty, they're in and out of jail before anybody even knows they was in jail. And metal detector is unconstitutional. I believe it is, as I have been through many background checks, but have the aldermen and city workers and city officials been through any background checks? I mean, they're just as likely to fly off the handle and shoot the place up as anybody else. And I think the police would be better off doing something other than hassling the homeless people. There's a lot of homeless people in Belleville, and there's hardly any place for them to sleep. They sleep out in the woods and in tents and in the bushes and you name it. They need to do something about the homeless people, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, Stuart. Anyone else this evening? Hearing none, I'm going to close public participation. At this time, it brings me a great deal of pleasure to go into presentations, recognitions, and appointments, but tonight we have a couple of recognitions. I have two proclamations this evening. The first one on your agenda is a proclamation for Charlie Woodford, and Charlie, you don't have to stand. I'm going to come over there by you, and I'm going to do yours first. Well, if you can stand there by the rail, I guess should I use that microphone?
Yeah.
So it records.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're probably well aware that in the last several weeks or months, High School District 201 recognized two gentlemen for outstanding service and named Belleville East Football Field and Belleville West after two distinguished gentlemen. And I've had the privilege, and many of our city workers have had the privilege of knowing or meeting these gentlemen over the years, come in contact with a large number of their good deeds. We've been working hard to emphasize character, and there's no two individuals I know that exemplify outstanding character more than the two we're recognizing tonight. So I'm going to start with Mr. Charlie Woodford, and this proclamation, whereas the City of Belleville is striving to be a community of character, recognizes and greatly appreciates those individuals who exceed the highest level of commitment to our community. And whereas the City of Belleville recognizes the devotion of Charlie A. Woodford and his many contributions to the City of Belleville and to our community. And whereas Charlie Woodford is a proud veteran of the United States Army Air Corps and served his country during World War II, earning 2 Purple Hearts. And whereas in 1966, Charlie Woodford began his involvement with Belleville East High School, and whereas in 1973, Charlie Woodford was elected the first president of the Lancer Booster Club and has remained active to this day. And whereas since 1975, Charlie Woodford has remained active in the selection and presentation of the Lancer Booster Club All-Tournament Team and Most Valuable Player Awards. And whereas in 1985, Charlie Woodford and his late wife Phyllis Woodford started an official boys basketball program that is still active today, generating needed funds for Lancer athletics. And whereas in 1994, a scholarship in Charlie Woodford's name was established for a graduating young man and woman. And whereas in 2002, Charlie Woodford was honored by the Illinois Athletic Directors Association with a plaque as being a friend of athletics. And whereas in 2004, Charlie Woodford and his late wife Phyllis Woodford were inducted into the Belleville East Wall of Fame, recognizing individuals through leadership and character have made exceptional contributions to the honor and prestige of Belleville East High School through outstanding achievement in the community and our society. And whereas Charlie Woodford has attended Lancer football games for over 50 years, missing only 3 games. And whereas officially the Belleville East High School football field is named Charlie Woodford Field, and whereas the City of Belleville recognizes that our community is blessed with many outstanding citizens such as Charlie Woodford, who go above and beyond all expectations in serving, strengthening, and building Belleville, Illinois as a great community of character. Now therefore, I, Mark W. Eckert, Mayor of the City of Belleville, do hereby recognize Charles Charlie A. Woodford for his dedicated service to our community. Let her hold that. Can you hold this? Just hold it for him a second. You know, much deserved. Charlie, a couple weeks back, well, right around Veterans Day, November 11th, the day before, I think it was, or a couple days before, Belleville East had their Veterans Day ceremony. And this year, Charlie was the speaker. I was honored to say a few words, but unfortunately, I had to go after Charlie. And that is not for, that's tough to do. But Charlie is an outstanding legend at Belleville East and in our community. He also received our Character Award, I believe, several years ago from the Belleville Character Program, the Basic Dinner. So Charlie, I'll give you the microphone if you want to say a word or two.
Well, I really appreciate this honor. I mean, it really came unexpected, and I don't think anybody's had any more fun and enjoyment than I have than following the Lancers in all kinds of sports. And it's a great school, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it. Dr. Dozier has school board tonight, or he assured me administration would be here for these fine two gentlemen. They would show up continuous times because they know how much both of these gentlemen have meant to School District 201 and the athletic programs. The next gentleman I've known for a number of years, and he's known very well throughout the city, and I'm going to ask that my friend Bob Golby stand. I won't make you come up here because you're comfortable there, I think. I've known the Golbys for a long time, and it's great to see family members here. I guess we're missing Kai, but we got two of the three boys. That's pretty good these day and age, right? And this youngest one here, Kevin, who anymore he's not too young, he's making me feel old, was my first Eagle Scout back in the mid-'80s when I was his Scoutmaster. And that's really when I got to know Bob probably the best back in that stretch. And Bob, this is long overdue from the City of Belleville, recognizing the great contributions you have made to our city over the years. The proclamation reads, whereas the City of Belleville, in striving to be a community of character, recognizes and greatly appreciates those individuals who exceed the highest level of commitment to our community. And whereas the City of Belleville recognizes the devotion of Robert Bob G. Golby and his many contributions to the City of Belleville and to our country. Whereas in 1947, Bob Golby graduated from Belleville Township High School, earning a total of 11 letters while playing multiple sports during his high school career. And whereas Bob Golby is a proud veteran of the United States Army. And whereas in 1963, Bob Golby was chosen to play on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. And whereas in 1968, Bob Golby won the Masters tournament among 11 Professional Golfers Association PGA Tour wins achieved between 1958 and 1971. And whereas in 1979, Bob Golby was instrumental in forming the Seniors PGA Tour, now known as the Champions Tour, and won 2 senior tournaments. And whereas in 2000, Bob Golby was inducted into the Gateway PGA Hall of Fame. Whereas in 2004, Bob Golby was inducted into Belleville West Wall of Fame, honoring select alumni who have earned recognition for their achievement and contributions in the fields of their endeavor. And whereas in 2014, Bob was inducted into the Belleville Walk of Fame, honoring individuals who have made significant contributions to the history of the City of Belleville. And whereas Bob Golby remains involved in many charitable events throughout our community, including Turf for the Teams, a project started several years ago to help raise money for the synthetic turf football fields at Belleville East High School and Belleville West High School. And whereas officially, the Belleville West High School football field was recently named Bob Golby Field. And whereas the city of Belleville recognizes that our community is blessed with many outstanding citizens such as Bob Golby, who go above and beyond all expectations in serving, strengthening, and building Belleville, Illinois as a great community of character. Now therefore, I, Mark W. Eckert, Mayor of the City of Belleville, do hereby recognize Robert Bob Golby for his dedicated service to our community. Bob, it's a pleasure to present this long overdue recognition for your many years and contributions to Belleville.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm not as old as Charlie, but I'll be 89 years old in a month. And I've lived here all my life, and I had many opportunities to leave. They all tell me the weather's better, but Belleville has a lot to offer. It's the middle of the country. You can fly anywhere. The people are great. Education's good. And I couldn't have found a better place to raise my family and to raise my own self. My parents, I grew up in West Belleville, 77th Street, and I still live out in that particular area, around that area. I'd just like to say, sports have been great to me for 50 years. I made a living playing golf, and it was my hobby too, playing golf. So anybody as lucky as I am to live 89 years and get to play your hobby as your game and also as a way to make a living, I was very, very lucky. I have my daughter here tonight and two sons. One of them's in Japan building a golf course, so he couldn't be here tonight. Anyway, let me just say it's a pleasure to be here. I had the honor playing with 5 presidents in the United States, and somebody from a little town of Belleville, Southern Illinois, Belleville, Illinois. I always think that's pretty darn neat to be able to play with 5 presidents. Thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome. Thanks again. Much deserved. You know, I'll tell one, as I'm walking back up here, 1968, I was a 6th grader at Henry Robb School, and we had to take turns reading the news to the classes at the principal's office on the microphone. Lois Hoke was still the secretary, and you might know that Lois Hoke went on to be city clerk here for many, many years. But I got to read the news the morning that Bob Golby won the Masters Championship. So I don't know if I ever told him that, no big deal, but it's kind of a big deal tonight, tying this all together. Thanks. Okay, if you folks have someplace to be, we certainly understand if you need to exit, but you're welcome to stay as long as you would like. At this time, we go into the regular portion of the meeting, and we would ask for a motion to approve, accept, and file the minutes from the last city council meeting. Motion by Roger Barfield, second by Jane Pusa. Any additions or corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting and filing the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Claims, payroll, and disbursements. I'd ask for a motion to play the claims disbursements in the amount of $1,306,705.96 and the payroll in the amount of $881,216.12. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, Mayor.
Sorry?
Motion by Alderman Anthony, is that what you're making? Yes, sir. And a second by Alderman Ovian. Okay, any discussion, any additions or corrections on the claims and payroll? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner.
Aye.
Randall. Tyler. Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman.
Aye.
Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Aye.
Motion carries. We go to reports. Finance Committee on page 2. At this time, I'd ask for Alderman Kinsella, would you like, let's take these individually, okay?
I make a motion to approve change order number 6 with impact strategy for the City Hall project.
A motion by Alderman Kinsella. Do I hear a second by Alderman Schaefer? Do I hear discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to make sure, I know it was discussed in the Finance Committee, but this is the last change order, right? We're done.
The last bill, the only thing that's outstanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the only thing that's outstanding is still working a couple things out with the architect. But we're done with, this is the last bill from Impact. Am I correct, Mike? I see. But there still is one, there's a situation where we're working through some questions with the architect's final bill. But that's it. And this is it as far as impact, which is all the building, all the materials, et cetera.
Do we have any idea what that's gonna cost, the architect?
We don't at this time. Mr. Harner is going through some things. We are in the process of communicating with them about some issues we believe need to be considered as we get the final settlement.
But there's also funds retained.
There's also funds retained for that, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, thank you. I knew that, but I didn't share that quick enough. Okay, so at this time, we have a motion and we have a second on the final change order number 6 with impact strategies for the City Hall project. If there's no further discussion, I ask for a roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian. Schaefer. Dentelman.
Aye.
Gah.
Aye.
Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. Mr. Kinsella.
I make a motion to approve the 2017 tax levy as presented.
We have a motion by Alderman Kinsella. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Pusa. Do I hear discussion?
Mayor,
Alderman Bittner.
I don't know if anybody else has been getting calls this week, but a lot of constituents are a little upset about a 12% increase in their property taxes. A lot of older folks live in the city, they're on fixed incomes, it becomes a burden. And I am not against financing the pensions. I know we're under, a state, law that says we have to fund these.
Yes, we do.
Is there any other plans on how we're gonna be able to fund these things in the future without knocking the sales tax so high all the time?
Well, first of all, I've been here a long time. And while criticism comes up every couple years when there is a increase of any kind, never once have I seen anyone come forward, including our local media, with any recommendations about how else. This way has been the same way we have funded, not to say it's the best way, but the city of Belleville has always used property tax to fund the pensions. This has been going on since the pensions began, best we could find. Jamie and I did some research today, and I excused her this evening for a personal matter, but I know it goes back 60, 70 years we've been using this method. You're right, in 1997, 98, right in there, the state finally passed a statute that said cities must fund police and fire pensions to the level of the actuary, because so many cities, and our own included back in the early days, back all the way through till probably the early 90s, did not fund the pensions adequately. They were underfunded, and that's why we have the dilemma across the state today. Our past administrations going back into the 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s underfunded the pensions. They didn't want to raise the levy. They didn't want to get the taxpayers mad, but we never paid the pensions. Now, if you choose not to do this tonight, understand per the state statute that the State of Illinois Comptroller's Office can and will hold our funds, such as income tax, which would have a direct correlation on our general fund, which would mean we could not pay salaries, policemen or firemen salaries, because they're the biggest two. They're 60% of our budget. So, I don't like to pay more taxes, and we've been explaining this for years. This is not a new situation. The budget, the pension situation is a problem of immense proportion throughout the state of Illinois. But this particular one is set up that we must pay it we currently have, and unless there's a change by recommended and approved that we can handle it that way, and it's approved and accepted, this has always been paid out of property tax. So tonight's increase will go to paying everything that was listed in the advertisement we put in the paper, and as was explained at the public hearing last week.
And just for clarity, the statute that contemplates this type of funding expressly contemplates property tax funding. If we wanted to look at an alternative, we would have to determine whether or not it's a proper exercise of home rule authority in addition to investigating how to fund it. But this mechanism is really the statutory mechanism for funding, And then later, and that's in those sections, it talks about, what happens if you don't fund to the contemplated actuarial level and the, interception of funds by the comptroller's office of other funds payable to the municipality.
So, Mr. Harder, so under home rule, we could come up with an alternative.
I don't know that yet, but that's if and when you want to investigate alternatives, we would have to ensure that it is a proper exercise of home rule authority. I don't know that yet because we haven't investigated that yet because the normal mechanism by which to fund these pension liabilities is in fact property tax.
And I understand, I mean, the state of Illinois, it seems like we as politicians, and we as council and we always answer, or come up with the answer of tax and spend, and tax and tax and tax, and it just gets to a point where the state of Illinois is in such a flux right now, it seems that sometimes the city's going down the same road. And just because we've been doing this for the last 60 years doesn't mean it's right.
And
We gotta come up with some alternatives.
We will gladly, I would gladly entertain some alternatives. Let me just tell you, let's just tell the citizens who are here tonight. This past year, and our budgets are normally right on the money far as money we project for income and money we receive. We're normally in the 98th percentile of being accurate, year after year. This past year, we were down 1.1 million because of the money that was passed through the state and the money that had been depleted from the state. 550,000, I believe, was from income tax alone. That's because of the number of people who have left the state of Illinois or businesses who have left the state. So therefore, the formula shrinks, our amount shrinks. So we lost $500,000 right off the bat last year from income tax. We lost the motor fuel tax is also based on the same thing far as population, right, Tim? That was down significantly. The use tax was down. We know that a lot of people aren't shopping, they're buying things by the internet, and many times sales tax is not recouped, and we're working on those things throughout the country. They're talking about ways to better see that cities don't get shortchanged there. So taxes last year were down 1.1 million. And staff and I have been tightening our belt every day. We've not eliminated, but we have not rehired a few positions right now as we look towards the new budget. But I will tell you, it's a critical time. But the people who have earned the police and fire pensions deserve to have their pensions. And, you know, we have an obligation to make sure that we properly fund them. And that's what the question is tonight. Alderman Ovian?
What I'm bothered by is each pension board has their own actuarial. If we could consolidate and have just one representing everybody, it would be a savings. You can't have too many hands in the pot. There's only a certain amount of money that's available. So until we come to a meeting of the minds, this is not going to go ahead and change. The ball's just going to be kicked down the road.
Mr. Ovian, I don't disagree with you, and we've talked as we did in finance, and I told this group, and I think I sent out last week, you should have gotten by email, it's a very thick, Illinois Municipal League, which is the council of governments for cities through the 1,287 cities in the state of Illinois. Currently, I'm the president of that association. So in the last few years serving on that board, I've learned a great deal. We have submitted 5 proposals to the legislative bodies for consideration on how to improve pension reform. One of them, maybe it's repeated, but in one particular scenario, it talks about the need, and it's a tough sell because everybody's so used to having their own boards, so used to having their own way and their own investments and their own people, but it is true. We're going to have some give and take if we're going to solve the pension crisis throughout the state. But tonight, what's in front of us is we have to submit the levy to St. Clair County by the end of this month, right, Garrett?
The last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday of the month, by law. And if we fail to adequately fill the levy, then the money will have to come, because the statute, they will make us pay the pensions, and we owe it. So I will tell you, and this is not a threatening statement, But if we don't pay it properly, and the comptroller comes and holds back money, then it will mean that we cannot pay the same number of public servants that we have on our payroll, and we'll have to do something rash. And I will tell you, we've cut many, many, many departments. The only thing we haven't cut during my tenure here is police and fire. And I would have to say that those cuts would have to be made if they hold back the kind of money that we're talking about. Alderman Randall?
Thank you, Mayor. If I've got this right, basically what we're up against here is that we're being handcuffed by a state mandate. No pun intended, that's correct,
Well,
right?
that's to a degree, that's part of it, yes.
Okay,
And
it's
we've
not just
also,
us,
let's,
okay, it's residents, okay, not just here in Belleville, it's residents across the state, it's city councils, it's townships, okay, it's trustees, villages. This is going on, not just here in Belleville, but in virtually every community around the state that has to meet this mandate as well, if they've got pension funds that they have to provide for. So according to Mr. Horner, our city attorney, you're saying that there would be alternatives, okay, to funding, okay, that could be pursued if indeed the finding was that as a home rule community we could do that.
In the event that you want to investigate alternative funding mechanisms, we would first need to ensure that it's compliant with the statute. The way the statute reads, it contemplates a property tax levy to fund this. And in the absence of that levy, and then the boards would contact the comptroller and they would intercept our funds. If you want to look at alternatives, the first thing we would have to determine is that it is in fact legal, whether it's considered an exercise of home rule authority. We'd have to determine whether or not that would be proper. That's something that would be the threshold issue before looking at alternative funding.
And the proper venue for that would be through ordinance and legal then?
that'd be the start of it.
Yes.
Okay. So we're either looking at a change in state law, or if we find that through your investigation is legal to do though, we provide for a change in the funding mechanism. Are those the alternatives that we're left with here?
Those are, I would call longer-term alternatives. I think your short-term alternative is to fund it to the level contemplated by the statute through this property tax levy, or run the risk of having other state payments intercepted to fund that same.
Yeah, and to Mr. or Alderman Obian's point here in terms of like the different actuaries being utilized there, it's not just, okay, a failure by many communities to fund at the proper level. It's that the returns that have been estimated by many of these actuaries have been unreasonable in the first place. It just hasn't met reality.
Well, we certainly took a hit during the recession. The pension funds, I think anybody here in the room who's been involved would agree that those couple of years during the worst part of the recession, payback on their investments were very low. And so they're still catching up from that. And it's unfortunate. So who else? Anybody else tonight has a comment? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. We've agreed to, we want to raise taxes 11.98%, which is 1.2 million. The EAV is expected to go up next year. Now, if the EAV went up, that would theoretically give us more money. So would it still need to be a percentage, or would it just need to be the 1.2 million?
We taxed it. We're going for the amount, right, Garrett?
Yeah, it's an aggregate levy. The phraseology utilized in the notice is pursuant to statute. That's how they tell us to identify the increase.
So it's not likely to be 12% based on EAV. The county's estimating it's going to go up anywhere from 2 to 5.
I can't speak to that.
And we want to be real careful because where we've made that statement before, all of a sudden, it's come back on the finance director and myself and others. So we're just saying that, yes, the EAV is to be determined yet this spring. That will have a bearing, but we're not going to sit here tonight and get caught in the crossfires again of making a prediction and having our words twisted.
I think that the finance department has couched this proposed increased tax levy in the terms required under the law based on the information that's available to her now.
Thank you.
Who else? Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd like to mention that we got in this predicament
because people before us kicked the can down the road. Mr. Ovian, or Alderman Ovian said ball, well, I was raised on a farm, we couldn't afford a ball, we kicked the can. But either way, we got here because somebody else didn't do their job. If we don't vote for this, we're kicking the can further down the road. Our job is to stop, our job is to be that goalie that sends it back the right direction. Thank you.
I will say that, I entered the council in 1997 when the statute changed, and I'm proud to say, but it's caused some people upset with me at times because of my vote. But we have funded, the city of Belleville has funded these pensions properly and adequately every year since 1997. But prior to that, there was many years where the actuary was here and the city would fund it at 60-some% or 50% or 60, and goes back a long time. And they were not properly funded. And yes, those elected officials at that time could say, we didn't raise your taxes, but that's why we're here tonight, because for a lot of years, the can was kicked down the road, as the expression said, and we're faced with this dilemma. Now, misery loves company, because there's a lot of other cities in the same boat as we're in. But this is a fact, and you can go check the records, you can go back, but prior to 1997, this city council had many years where we didn't properly fund the pensions. And that's what we're here for.
I got one last comment. I'd like for City Attorney Horner to go ahead and see if, in effect, as a home rule city, we can go ahead and come up with a plan to go ahead and form our own pension payment with the help of the police and fire. Nobody wants to see a layoff, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody that does, their head is not on straight. If you go ahead and basically come up with an actuarial that is bonded, that basically meets quality standards, and we can all sit in on it, then we can go ahead and formulate a plan, and we don't have to be strangled by the state. The state can't even go ahead and come up with a budget. So the hell with the state, let's go ahead and do things ourselves.
I hear you, Mr. Ovian, but remember that the statute from state legislators is what we are guided by as far as these pensions. And then also keep in mind, each of these unions have their own collective bargaining. So there's a lot, I mean, I hear you. I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't have merit as far as investigating. That's kind of what the IML's plans are proposing, is that there becomes some common sense approach to trying to deal with this in the future, some give and take. I think we're gonna have to do that if we're gonna survive. But the city individually must follow the state's statute.
Only if it's a legal way.
I understand, and we'll continue to look at that. But tonight, we're faced with, unfortunately, properly funding the pensions, and the only way and I'm not saying it's correct, but the only way we've ever done it here in this city is through the property tax. And as Mr. Harner stated, I think that's pretty much what's recognized throughout the state. And a statute. So, we have a motion and we have a second to approve the 2017 tax levy. If there's no further questions, I'm gonna call for the roll call vote.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Aye. Bittner.
No.
Randall.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm sorry, Scott. Tyler.
Because I'm a member of the police and fire pension, I have to abstain.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
I'm also a member of the police and fire, so I'm abstaining.
We have more than enough aye votes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, and we have 13 here tonight. The ayes have it, and it's a difficult problem that we got to continue to work on. I would challenge all of you, though, it's a lot of reading, but I would challenge you to start looking at what I've sent you from the IML and start talking to legislators, because we've got to get our legislators on board with pushing positive change if we're ever going to get this turned in a different direction. So, I know it's tough, and like I said, I have a house as well, property tax, I have to pay it. But, and my father was a policeman who's since passed away, but who spent 25 years in the Belleville Police Department years ago, earned a pension, and just like he was fortunate enough to have that pension until he passed away and my mother passed away, we need to make sure that the men and women working for us in recent years and in these years now had that pension there. So, at this time, I go on, Mr. Consilla, to the last one.
I make a motion on behalf of the Finance Committee to approve the budget amendments as recommended by the Finance Director.
Motion by Alderman Consilla, second by Alderman Gah. Any discussions on the budget amendments as recommended?
Mayor, just for clarification, we're just moving we're not increasing the budget, we're just moving different funds around.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
as explained in the finance meeting every
Right.
month, and as,
Because I've had some questions and people were concerned we're raising, but all we're doing is just
No.
moving money in
no,
different
we're
funds.
just simply,
Line item transfers.
exactly, we're, I guess, 6 months was October, so we're into about the 8th month of the fiscal year or whatever, and there's a need to do that in some situations, because we're dealing with a budget. The budget isn't perfect, but we're making the recommendations from our finance director. So if there's no further questions, I call for a roll call vote.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman.
Aye.
Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. The next motion comes from administration. I'd ask for this one to be voted on separately. I'd ask for a motion to adopt a policy prohibiting sexual harassment. You might know, we have a motion first of all by Alderman Hazel. Do I hear a second? By Tyler. You might have read recently, the state, what am I looking for here? The State House, the General Assembly passed a legislation that said within 60 days, all cities must adopt a policy. So this policy came as a recommendation from the IML. Mr. Harner reviewed it, and the policy has been in front of all of you. So this is something I will tell you right now, even before I went to my IML board meeting the first week of December and received the policy from them. Sherry Faber and I were already meeting, and she was already scheduling, and we are already implemented sexual harassment trainings. There's another one tomorrow that I will be attending along with many staff, but we've been doing them in many, many departments until she gets the whole 350 plus city employees trained. So we take this very seriously. It's very important, but I just want to let the council know that trainings are well underway. So we have a motion and we have a second to adopt this policy. If there's no further questions, roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. I'm gonna ask that we would read, you gonna help me with these?
Yeah, I'll do 'em.
Miss Jenny is gonna read these, but I would ask that we would read the following motions, as a group. They're all about scrapping additional vehicles. We are big time cleaning out, junk. So, Jenny, you wanna read them, and then we'll ask for a motion to approve it?
Do you need a motion to read them as a group, Mayor?
Do we have to read all of them?
No,
No, during the ordinance we
if
do.
there's no objection,
Okay,
you can read all the motions.
So I just asked this, I'd ask for a motion to approve 11B2, 11B3, 11B4, 11B5, 11B6, and 11B7 on tonight's agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve, scrapping all those vehicles? Motion by Alderman Kinsella, second? Second by Alderman Pusa. I think we can do this, at this way, but we'll have to read them a little further when we get to ordinance. Correct?
By heading only.
By heading only. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of approving, scrapping the vehicles that I just laid out in the, agenda that's spelled out here, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We go on now to the next item. We have asked for a motion to approve, Marco Plaza Plat 1, Final Plat, Glenwood Equities. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Schaper. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. At this time, we have a recommendation, and we'll do them separately. I think they deserve that. From the Board of Fire and Police Commission, 2 promotions. The first one, I'd ask for a motion to promote Police Officer Mark Kranig to Sergeant effective December 19th, 2017 at 12:01 a.m. Motion by Alderman Anthony, second by Alderman Hazel. A discussion. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. I'd ask for a motion to promote Police Master Sergeant Gary Becker to Lieutenant effective January 11, 2018 at 12:01 a.m. Motion by Ovian, second by Dittelman. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. Chief Clay, you want to come up to the microphone and introduce these 2 gentlemen? I told Gary he had to keep his speech under 11 minutes.
He has 15 years of service. He is currently assigned to Patrol Bureau, Squad A. He's going to report to Squad C. He will be one of 2 supervising sergeants on that squad. He has served in investigations, and he is a field training officer. So we are very happy to have him over us all. And then, what we have standing behind him is Master Sergeant Gary Becker. Master Sergeant Becker has 29 years of service. He's currently assigned to Patrol Bureau on Squad A. He will assume command of Squad D upon a 30-year retirement of Lieutenant Ron Sprint, who's standing back there in the back with his hands folded in a uniform. 30 years of service. Sergeant Becker has served in investigations, and he was a field training officer. There's many more, but I'm not going to take all night with him. And what we do, now we started a little tradition here, and I'll just let you folks have a look at how we hand these out to them when they do it. It's just a nice little certificate of our appreciation for them, and I want to hand this to you, good Master Sergeant, soon to be Lieutenant. And then this is the same for the sergeants that we handed out to each one of those folks, and have a look at that. And this is yours. I told them that they did not have to speak, so you don't. If any of your family wants to take some photos right quick, we'll do that. If you want to stand by me.
Well, while they're getting their picture taken, I just want to say congratulations to both of these gentlemen. We're very blessed with a lot of talent on our police and fire departments, and we're very glad to see these folks willing to take leadership. This day and age, that says a lot. Okay, the next item, we go to the zoning board, and I turn to my good friend, City Clerk, Ms. Jenny, to read the zoning board.
11E1, motion to approve 66 November 17, Phillips Investments LLC, Villas of Hollybrook, a request for a use variance to permit homes for the aged in the form of assisted living and memory care facilities at 2956 Gina Marie Lane and various adjacent properties located in an A1 single-family residence district applicable section of the zoning code 162.093, 162.570, Ward 8, parcels 08300102001, 083001020092024, 083001030012014, 083001040022009, approved by unanimous vote of all members present.
Is that it?
Yeah, I combined them all.
So, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve and this was approved by the zoning board unanimously, to approve this request for a use variance. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
We set the motion first, then we'll have discussion. Motion?
I want to make a motion to have this approved. They held a meeting.
Okay, hold it, you make a we'll get to the conversation.
Okay,
I'll call right back. Motion to approve and have the proper ordinance drawn.
Yes.
Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Steele. Now we'll open it for discussion. I'll let you finish, and then we'll go to Alderman Barfield.
They held a meeting for the people that lived in the neighborhood or all concerned citizens to come. I attended the meeting. They did a phenomenal job. They did a wonderful presentation. And after, I went there with an open mind because I felt I owed it to everyone that was there, both sides, to see what it said. And I thought they did a great job. They explained it, what they want to do. It's probably the best thing that can happen to the city of Belleville in that area. So with that, that's why I made the motion.
Okay, Alderman Barfield.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, when this came to my attention, I went out to Autumn Woods neighborhood, just Autumn Woods neighborhood, knocked on doors, talked to the majority of the people out there, and the response I got is they were concerned about the impact of the neighborhood, traffic, and they would like to keep it single family, zone single family. So they're not really in favor of this development.
Okay, and I believe there was quite a few people that did come and they talked, and at the meeting that night, you were there?
Yes.
Okay, so that was aired out. I don't think anybody from Autumn Woods spoke tonight in public participation. Any other aldermen? This is I'm told it's an investment of $7 million plus. It's private pay, and it's right there at the intersection of Frank Scott and 11th Street. Alderman Ovian?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have some questions. I wasn't able to be here last week for that meeting on Tuesday evening. Is anyone here from the Village of Holy Brook?
There's the two gentlemen are here. Yes.
I'd like to address a couple of questions I have. Will the medical director have a background in geriatric care?
Hello, my name is Hadley Phillips, and I'm the owner of the Villas of Hollybrook along with my dad, Reggie. He couldn't be here tonight. Sorry about that. We are licensed by the state of Illinois, so our people are qualified through the state standards, and yes, they are qualified in geriatric care.
Okay. Will you have a local physician basically as your medical director?
We don't necessarily hire physicians. A lot of times we keep a RN on staff 24/7, but the state does not require us to have a physician on staff or have a physician that we call our community physician.
Your income base, will any of it be federally subsidized, such as Medicare or Medicaid?
No, it's all private pay.
Okay. The last question I have, sir, have you had any patient abuse cases reported in 2016 at any of your locations?
No, in fact, we received 5 perfect surveys this year on 5 different communities in Illinois.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the council? Yes, sir.
Do they intend to ask for any tip or any kind of rebates from the city?
They have asked the Economic Development Department to sit down and talk with them. However, we agreed that the first step was to see if the zoning would be approved, but we have not had any of those conversations yet. Okay? Fair to say, Anissa? Yes. Okay. All righty. We have a motion and we have a second to approve this use variance that's in front of you. And if there's no further questions, I'll have a roll call vote.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner,
No.
Randall,
No.
Tyler,
No.
Anthony,
Aye.
Ovian,
Aye.
Schaefer, Dintelman, Goff, Steele, Barfield.
No.
What's our total?
9 yeas, 4 noes.
I don't need to vote, do I? It's approved. Okay, so make sure. Motion carries. With the number, we're missing a couple here tonight. I wanted to double check and make sure we didn't have to have a bigger quarter. Okay, very good. We move on to communications, and there's quite a few communications. You need a drink of water?
I got some.
Okay. Do you mind?
No, can I read them all together?
Anybody have a problem if we read them together? Okay, proceed.
All right.
There's a long list.
Communications, 12A, communication from Belleville School District 118, requesting to hold a 5K followed by a 1-mile fun run walk on Saturday, October 27, 2018, starting at 8:30 a.m., ending at 11:30 a.m. through the Reunion and West Haven subdivision. 12B, communication from Trail Life USA Troop, Illinois 0076, requesting to hold their Legacy Memorial Day 5K on Monday, May 29, 2018. Event will start at 9 a.m. from Latterman Park and end at 10 a.m. Street closure at West Main between 2nd and 4th Streets, 1 lane minimum. 12C, communication from Belleville Main Street, requesting approval for Ladies Night Out 2018. The dates of the event will be the 3rd Thursday of the month from March through December, starting at 5 p.m., ending at 8 p.m. on June 21st, 2018 and August 16th, 2018. Requesting the closure of the first block of North Church from East Main Street to the alley, use of Gaslight Park, electricity from the basic building for music, and trash toters and barricades as requested. 12D, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for Sparkle, Suds, and Sweets Walk on Friday, February 16, 2018. Event will start at 4:30 p.m., ending at 8:30 p.m. No street closures or city services requested. 12E, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Leprechaun 5K on Saturday, March 17, 2018. Event will start at 9 a.m., ending at 10:30 a.m. There will be rolling street closures for this event beginning at 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. as required for the participants. Police officers, barricades, and no parking signs as requested. 12F, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the St. Pat's Block Party on Saturday, March 17, 2018. Event will start at 12 p.m., ending at 7 p.m. Street closures begin at 12 p.m. following the parade, ending at 8 p.m. Requested street closures are East Main Street between Jackson and Charles, East Main Street between Illinois 159 and High Street, and the first block of South High Street between East Main Street and East Washington Street. Police officers, barricades, posting of no parking signs. 3, sewing machine drop-off only signs in the city parking lot located at the northeast corner of South High Street and East Washington. Electrical panels and trash toters as requested. 12G, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Homebrew and Music Walk 2018 on Saturday, April 28, 2018. Event will start at 4 p.m., ending at 9 p.m. No street closures or city services requested. 12H, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Old Town Market 2018. Event will be every Saturday from May 5th, 2018 through November 3rd, 2018. Starting at 7:30 a.m., ending at noon. Street closure request is for first block of South Charles. Between East Main and East Washington, street closure begins at 6:30 a.m. and reopens at 1 p.m. Request use of city-owned parking lots on the northwest and northeast corners of South Charles and East Washington Street for vendors as necessary. The Saturdays of Art on the Square, Oktoberfest, and Chili Cook-Off. South Charles Street will be a detour route for traffic. Vendors will occupy the city-owned parking lot on the northwest corner of South Charles Street and East Washington Street. During those events, request further asks to provide a pop-up vendor for the first Saturday of January, February, and March on the city-owned parking lot on the northeast corner of South Charles Street and East Washington Street. Barricades, trash toters, and porta potty as requested. 12I, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Spring Progressive Dinner 2018 on Thursday, May 10, 2018. Event will start at 5 p.m., ending at 9 p.m. No street closures or city services requested. 12J, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Craft Beer Walk 2018 on Saturday, June 16, 2018. Event begins at 4 p.m., ending at 9 p.m. No street closures or city services requested. 12K, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the downtown sidewalk sale 2018, Friday, July 27, and Saturday, 2018. Event will start at 9 a.m., ending at 7 p.m. No street closures or city services requested. 12L, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Fall Progressive Dinner 2018 on Thursday, September 28, 2018. Event will start at 5 p.m., ending at 9 p.m. No street closures or city services requested. 12M, communication from Belleville Main Street requesting approval for the Art and Wine Walk 2018 on Saturday, November 3rd, 2018. Event will start at 4 p.m., ending at 8 p.m. No street closures or city services requested.
Okay, I'm looking back to ask for a motion to approve that lengthy list from 12A down to 12M of requested communications for upcoming events throughout the next year of 2018. Do I hear a motion? Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Gah. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Are we gonna receive any grief on 12F about street closure?
Well, let me just say this. They were all communicated, correct?
Yes.
I'm talking.
The entire committee received email, it's a planning process we go through where we meet in October to discuss what we're gonna be doing for the coming year, and then we finalize it in November. So every committee member received information prior to the October meeting via email. They also received minutes from those meetings after the meeting, as well as notification of the final decision being taken place in November. They've received notification that I'd be willing to present information to the committee if they provided it to me. Some merchants did. I could not advocate on behalf of a single merchant because I represent 25 merchants. This is what the committee as a whole came up with as far as our plan for marketing downtown Belleville for 2018.
But I think in answer to your question, Alderman Ovian, they went through pretty great lengths this time to make sure that everybody's been communicated with. So is it a chance that somebody still could be upset? I can't promise that couldn't happen. But I think they've done a much more thorough job at our request.
Yes, we made sure that we were as transparent as absolutely possible.
That's the only question I have.
And that's what we want to make sure to avoid future concerns. So I applaud them for those efforts. We have a motion and we have a second. Because this is very lengthy and because of those types of concerns, I'm going to use my chair's ability here to ask for a roll call vote. That's a
Hazel.
long list.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall. Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion's carried. This time we have no petitions, resolution. I'd ask for a motion to read by title only. Resolution 3317, 3318. Do I hear that motion? Motion from Alderman Schaefer, second by Alderman Hazel to read those two resolutions by title only. Can we read them as a group or have a problem with that?
On my copy that I printed off, those 3317 and 3318 are exactly the same.
No, there's a, the one is the,
They are, yeah,
are they?
yep,
Is
they're
there,
the same.
Jim is not here, but do you
Hold
know,
on.
I think there's a tie.
Hold on.
Hold it, look at the packet.
But there were two different budget amendments,
There were two
were there
different
not?
budget amendments. That's the reason.
One's for the TIF, right?
There's two different budget amendments, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the packet laid out in front of me here, but that's the explanation, Alderman Ovian.
318.
Okay, so nobody has a problem if we read those two together? We have a motion and a second to read by title only 3317 and 3318, the two resolutions. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolutions, 14A, Resolution 3317, a resolution amending the annual budget of the City of Belleville, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of May 2017 and ending on the 30th day of April 2018. 14B, Resolution 3318, a resolution amending the annual budget of the City of Belleville, Illinois for the fiscal year beginning on the first day of May 2017 and ending on the 30th day of April 2018.
Do I hear a motion to approve those two resolutions? Alderman Pusa, second by Alderman Hazel. To approve Resolution 3317 and 3318. If there's no further questions, roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella. Pusa.
Aye.
Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. I'd like to ask for a motion to read by title only this first ordinance separate, ordinance number 8140. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Schaefer, second by Alderman Pusa to read 8140 by title only. All in favor of that signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
15A, ordinance 8140, 2017, an ordinance providing for the annual tax levy upon real estate situated within the corporate limits of the city of Belleville in the county of St. Clair and the state of Illinois, subject to taxation for the fiscal year commencing on the first day of May 2017 and ending on the 30th day of April 2018.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion by Alderman Schaefer, second by Alderman Kinsella to approve ordinance number 8140. Any further discussion on this ordinance? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner.
No.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Abstain.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman.
Aye.
Gah.
Aye.
Steele. Barfield.
Abstain.
Motion carries. I'd ask now for someone to read by title only approval, ordinance number 8141. Moved by Alderman Kinsella, second by Alderman Pusa. Any discussion on reading that ordinance by title only? All in favor? Yes, sir.
Your Honor, can we just make a motion to read all the rest of them by?
Well, I was gonna get these two out of the way, and then I was gonna ask for a motion to do the rest, okay? No?
Well, we have the. Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry. Well, it's gonna take it through a certain point, then we'll come back to the final about the levy, okay?
And the Hollybrook.
And the Hollybrook, we'll do those separate. But we got a number of ordinances for coming up as a group I was gonna ask, okay? So right now, we have a motion and we have a second to read by title only, the one pertaining to 8141. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Want to read that one?
Sure. 15B, ordinance 8141, 2017, an ordinance adopting a policy prohibiting sexual harassment.
Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Schaefer. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Steele. Do I hear discussion? Roll call on ordinance number 8141.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Pusa. Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Schaefer. Dintelman.
Aye.
Gah.
Aye.
Steele. Barfield.
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, I would ask for a motion, if someone would consider reading the, by title only and as a group, 8142, 8143, 8144, 8145, 8146, 8147, those as by title only and as a group. Do I hear that motion by Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Schaefer? Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of reading those ordinances as I just stated, by title only and as a group, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
15C, ordinance 8142, 2017, ordinance authorizing sale and conversion of personal property, 1997 Ford F-150 Street Department vehicle. 15D, ordinance 8143, 2017, ordinance authorizing sale and conversion of personal property, truck 33, 2001 Max 600 LE garbage truck, sanitation department vehicle. 15E, ordinance 8144, 2017, ordinance authorizing sale and conversion of personal property, truck 34, 2000 Max 600 LE garbage truck, sanitation department vehicle. 15F, ordinance 8145, 2017, ordinance authorizing sale, conversion of personal property, truck 35, 2001 Mack 600 LE garbage truck, sanitation department vehicle. 15G, ordinance 8146, 2017, ordinance authorizing sale, conversion of personal property, truck 40, 1997 International garbage truck 4900, sanitation department vehicle. 15H, ordinance 8147, 2017, ordinance authorizing sale, conversion of personal property, truck 41, 1997 International garbage truck 4900, sanitation department vehicle.
I ask for a motion to approve ordinances number 8142, 43, 8144, 8145, 8146, and 8147. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Schaefer, to approve the ordinances as just read. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner, Randall, Tyler, Anthony, Ovian, Schaefer, Dillman, Gah, Steele, Barfield.
Motion carries. I now ask for a motion to read by title only, ordinance number 8148. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Alderman Pusa, second by Alderman Schaefer to read 8148 by title only. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance 8148, 2017, a zoning ordinance in regards to case number 66, November 17, Phillips Investments LLC, Villas of Hollybrook.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion by Alderman Schaefer, second by Alderman Gah. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner.
No.
Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dillman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Ayes have it. I now ask for a motion to read by only. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance 8149, 2017, an ordinance approving the final plat of Markle Plaza, Plat 1, Glenwood Equities.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Alderman Schaefer approved, second by Alderman Pusa. Discussion on 8149. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dillman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. At this time, I'd ask for the final ordinance, motion to read by title only, ordinance number 8150. Motion by Alderman Dillman. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Schaefer. Do I hear discussion on reading by title only that ordinance? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
15K, ordinance 8150, 2017, an ordinance abating all taxes hereto levied for the year 2017 to pay the principal of the interest of general obligation bond to the city of Belleville, Illinois.
Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion by Alderman Pusa, second by Alderman Steele. Discussion? Yes, sir.
Typically, when I hear the word abate, it means do away with a levy?
Correct. The city has its outstanding general obligation bonds, and the ordinances that authorize them indicate the annual repayment amount. And what was contemplated when they were approved and what's carried through today is that it would be paid with funds other than tax levy that are legally available, and that's what you've done. And Gilmore and Bell, the city's bond counsel, provides this on an annual basis.
We have a motion, we have a second. There's no further discussions. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dillman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business? Moving on to miscellaneous and new business, I'd ask for a motion to approve the motor fuel claims in the amount of $26,778.91. Motion by Alderman Barfield, second by Alderman Schaefer. I hear discussion on the motor fuel claims. Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dillman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Motion carries. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel, litigation, workers' compensation, property acquisition, transfer of property, review of executive session minutes in 5 ILCS 120-2C21. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session? So moved by Alderman Randall, second by Alderman Pusa. Discussion? All in favor of going into the executive session for those stated purposes signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It sounds easier than it is. Anybody else out there, Ron? No, sir. Okay. I don't blame them. We are now back in open session, and we have one item of business, and I'm going to ask our city attorney to phrase it, and then I'm gonna ask somebody to consider making the motion.
I would recommend that you consider a motion to approve and release or maintain confidentiality of the executive session minutes from 1995 to 2012, as set forth in the city attorney's memo on review of executive session minutes dated December 18, 2017.
Motion by Alderman Randall, do I hear a second by Alderman Schaefer? Do I hear discussion on that motion? Okay, roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Pusa. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Schaefer. Dintelman. Gah. Steele. Barfield.
Before I recognize the motion to adjourn, I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Like I said, it's, we got one more weekend down here, partial weekend, not Sunday, right, Jenny, but at the Chris Kittle Market.
Saturday's our last day.
Saturday's the last day, it's gone very well, so if you haven't done anything down there, please check it out. And, I don't think there's anything else of old business. So I thank you. Motion to adjourn is Hazel and second by Randall. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.